Wednesday, I think. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
you're
Oh,
on.
we've got new microphones,
We have
so
new
it's a
mics,
different
everyone.
experience.
Yes. Hi,
Yeah.
Collin.
Hello.
I'm
It's
Bryn.
Wednesday, and I'm Collin.
And this is Collin Dorsey.
Yes.
And we are here with the big picture. It is Wednesday, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been off on days all week long.
Yeah, that's okay.
Gosh,
It's
these do sound
Wednesday.
different.
It's been kind of a busy morning, to say the least. We have a really booked show for you guys today. We have a lot of really fun guests, but we want to start with the serious news of this morning. There was a man that was killed in an officer-involved shooting during a domestic call. We'll get into that in a second. We were talking about doom spending. Have you ever
this
heard
is
of this,
interesting.
Collin?
I've heard of doom scrolling.
Right. Doom spending. It's a new trend, and we have NerdWallet coming on to explain it. We also have the Worthington Farmers Market joining us. Collin, I know
One
we
of my
both
favorites.
are big fans of that. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about what they have coming up this summer. And then Columbus, top 50 worst congestion in traffic-related situations.
At least we're not Atlanta.
No.
That's,
oh, my gosh.
what we
But
could
it
say to
is
that.
bad here. I've been saying it for a couple years now. Anytime between 3 and 6 o'clock, it's just wall-to-wall traffic.
Oh, it's wild.
It
I'm
is.
because it's always like you said, it starts at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I'm like,
I was out running errands
don't you
yesterday.
have to work?
I know. I was out running errands yesterday, and it was like around 2:45, and I was like, I got to get back home because the traffic's going to start, and I'm not being
Right.
stuck on the highway.
Right, and here I am going like, don't you have to work? And I was like, I am one of the people in that problem who
I
was like,
know.
I've got off at 11:30 in the morning. So
I do that all the
I'm
time
in
too.
the- yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
just-
why are you here? I
Yeah.
know why I'm here,
Yeah.
but here we are buying cucumbers at the grocery store. Okay,
All right, so-
well, let's get back to that officer-involved shooting that happened this morning. It happened on Wilson Avenue, and Krista McFarland, she was out there all morning reporting for us.
Yeah. So this was really kind of at the intersection of Livingston and Wilson Avenue, not Wilson Road, Wilson Avenue. So this was about, I would say, 10 blocks from.
Did I say Wilson Road?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was like,
but
whoa.
because initially when I heard it, I was like, Wilson Road
Yeah.
and Livingston do not cross. But so Wilson Avenue, this is about 10 blocks east of Nationwide Children's Hospital there, north of the Southern Orchards neighborhood. But anyway, according to Columbus Division of Police Sergeant Joe Albert, this
And this
all
is a look at the scene, by the way.
This all started as what came in as a domestic call. Don't know what exactly happened there, but when officers got there, they saw this man firing a weapon, and that's when officers returned fire. We did hear from Sergeant Joe Albert this morning at that scene, probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning about this.
It's unclear at this time what or who the male was shooting at the time that the officers heard the gunshots and observed him firing his weapon. But I can tell you that we did recover a firearm at scene. The officers returned or shot that individual. He is the only individual that was injured here.
Yeah, so he was later, the victim was taken to the hospital where
And
he
died.
was later
And
pronounced
we don't know. We don't know an identity yet
No.
on this man, but as we mentioned, started as a domestic call, and this is now another one of these. We continue talking about these domestic calls as they come up.
And I have a graphic here for us.
Yeah.
This is from the Domestic Violence Network of Ohio, but just from October of 2025, there's
It was a 40% increase.
Right, 157 fatalities related to domestic violence. So in 2024, there was 114. So there was a really big jump. And yesterday we had on Janice Johnson. Excuse me. We had her on with the Ohio Health Sexual Assault Resource Network of Central Ohio, and we were talking to her in depth about just how complicated. She wasn't speculating on recent instances. I just want to preface that. But we were talking about kind of the psychology behind everything and why
domestic violence instances.
Yeah, domestic violence
abuse.
instances and why they are happening more frequently in Central Ohio, as we just showed you with the numbers. So we're going to play part of her interview because we felt like it was really good and it revealed a lot of information. As you just heard, we're hearing more and more about domestic violence situations happening across Central Ohio. Now, from your perspective, what do you think is driving this increase that we're seeing right now?
Well, there are several factors that are driving the increase in domestic violence and intimate partner violence. Let me first begin by saying perpetrators are responsible for the violence that they inflict on others, ultimately. However, there are several contributing factors, which it would include right now, the social economic climate could be a factor. Individuals are stressed. There are unmanaged mental health symptoms, trauma that has been untreated. And so all of those factors contribute to that increase. In addition to that, with social media now and the media, there is also an increase, which is good, in reporting instances of intimate partner violence as well. So all those have impact.
And you kind of mentioned it right there, is that more and more of these cases are just getting some publicity out there, whether that be online or in traditional media formats, because for a long time, domestic violence and domestic abuse was something that was often not talked about. It was kept hush hush. So we didn't hear about it as much. And nowadays we do hear a lot. So is it safe to say that these numbers have probably always existed? It's just that nowadays we are hearing about them more.
That is a good possibility that we hear about them more now. I will say, I do acknowledge that there likely is an increase. We often see an increase in some of our younger demographics with teens and high school students as well. However, media does play an important factor also.
And can you explain it's so easy to say, well, why didn't you just get up and leave that situation? Why didn't you leave him? Why didn't you leave her? But can you go in depth about why that's actually very, very complicated for a lot of people?
Absolutely. When it comes to intimate partner violence and domestic violence, those relationships, what others fail to realize is that the victim in those relationships is in love with their perpetrator. Okay. And so although they want that abuse to stop, they're also in love with the perpetrator. And so that is one reason that it's hard for a victim to leave. In addition to that, we also have to realize that because of the trauma that is involved in intimate partner relationships, that victim is experiencing shame, often blames herself. Often there are other factors such as finances, children, when they're involved. She may be also feeling pressure to stay in that relationship from other outside forces. And so those are some of the reasons why victims remain in those relationships.
And you mentioned, that finances get involved there. We know that domestic violence looks different in all sorts of different cases. And many people might not think, well, I'm not in a dangerous situation because, well, that other person, they're not hitting me. But we know oftentimes that domestic abuse can start with financial abuse, controlling of the financing. It looks a lot different for other people. Tell us a little about what are some of the, because the extreme is that physical hitting, touching, but it's oftentimes starts much smaller to get to that point. Talk about that lead up there.
Sure. So there is often a escalation when it comes to abuse in relationships. And so it may start out as controlling the finances, where if the victim needs money for, let's say, food or resources for the children, where they're having to go to their significant other to get those resources, where they might withhold them. The perpetrator might withhold finances for whatever reason. In addition to that, victims also experience a lot of emotional, psychological, and verbal abuse, being put down, called outside of their names, things of that nature. And all of that takes a toll on the victim and how she feels about herself.
Okay, so if you or a loved one are in a domestic situation, again, like she reiterated, to reiterate what she said, it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be family related.
Yep.
It could be parents,
Every
siblings.
situation
Every
looks different.
situation's different. So you can call this hotline number 24/7 365. That number is 1-800-799-7233. 833. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to take a quick break, but we have a physician coming on with Licking Memorial Health System. And we're talking about Camp Feelin' Fine and how it helps kids who have asthma get out to the open of the fresh air and do some exercises while, staying safe. So he'll be on to explain all that. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Big Picture. I'm Bryn.
And I'm Collin.
All right. We have a very special pediatrician joining us right now. This is Dr. Richard Belsberg. She's a pediatrician at Licking Memorial Health Systems. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So talk to us about Camp Feelin' Fine. What is it exactly?
So Camp Feelin' Fine is a day-long camp. It's held at the Infirmary Mountain Park, which is one of the Licking County parks. Is a really, really nice park. Lots of walking paths through there. There's open air. There's water there. The day-long camp is designed to help kids with asthma get involved in learning about their disease and also getting out in the open and doing games associated with their asthma and create a community with them where they see other children with the same diagnosis being outside and being active as well.
And how do these activities help kids better understand their asthma and also just manage it?
So the main thing with asthma that we run into problems with is it's a chronic disease of inflammation of the lungs. So
All right, so we'll be right back. We had some technical issues there, but coming up next is Kimberly Palmer, a finance expert at NerdWallet.
are back with Dr. Baltusberg, pediatrician with Licking Memorial Health Systems. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. This is a live show. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah, hopefully we're back.
We hear you loud and clear. Okay, so Collin, the question you left off on was how does this camp help kids better learn to navigate their asthma?
Yeah, so the issue gets to be is a lot of times we get reactive with asthma, and that we wait till the kids are in an acute exacerbation and then they get seen maybe in the ER, their doctor's office. And really what we want to see happen is their disease managed over a long period of time to prevent exacerbations. So that includes watching out for triggers, keeping the inflammation down in the airways, making sure they're using their controlling medicines properly, things like that.
So why is it so important that children with asthma stay active and they stay outdoors and they don't shy away from that?
Well, one thing I partly talked to them about during this camp is that if you go to the Olympics, there's a higher degree of asthma in the athletes in the Olympics than they're in the general population. Part of that's people are pushing their bodies maybe to the limit a little bit, maybe the symptoms are coming out, but it should not be something where we withhold physical activity in people with asthma. Actually, it's beneficial for them to be active. It's just we need to watch their symptoms, and mainly if they have signs of chronic inflammation in their lungs, then they need to be on controlling medicines.
All right. What else do you hope these kids take away from the experience?
Well, first off, we want them to have fun. We want them to come out, have a day out in the sun in a safe environment where we have respiratory therapists, a doctor there. They're in a very safe environment. And then also create that community of others with the same disease. They see other kids with asthma out and active. All the games we do are triggered at learning about asthma. So, we may have a game of Survivor and we're asking them questions about asthma, or we might have a relay race that involves maybe putting together a nebulizer machine or things like that.
Okay, awesome. Dr. Baltusberg, pediatrician with Licking Memorial Health Systems, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Kimberly from NerdWallet coming up next, but we're going to take another quick break.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. Right now we are joined by Kimberly Palmer, a personal finance expert at NerdWallet. And we've all heard of the term doom scrolling. When you sit on your phone for
yes, and
extended
you
period of time
away.
and scroll away. But there's also something now called doom spending. Kimberly, thanks for joining us. Talk to us a little bit about what exactly is doom spending and why do we do it?
Well, thanks for having me. Doom spending is basically a new version of retail therapy, and it is very closely related to doom scrolling. So basically what it means is it's late at night, we're scrolling through our phone, we're feeling stressed out about the social media, the news, everything we're seeing. And to take back a sense of control, give ourselves a little boost, we buy things, we shop. So basically doom spending is that reaction to feeling that anxiety or stress. And buying something can give us a little dopamine boost. It feels good. It's a way of kind of taking back control of the moment. And so that is what we're seeing people do. The downside is that, of course, it means we can spend more than we intend to. We can regret some of those late night purchases, and it can lead to overspending in general.
Okay, so I kind of think I know the signs because I might be a doom spender, but what are the other signs?
Well, the biggest red flag that you might be doom spending is when you get your credit card statement and you are surprised by the amount of charges and how much it all adds up, because it might not seem like a lot when we make a quick purchase, spend $10 here and there, but by the end of the month, that can really add up, especially if we're doing it many nights of the week. And so the big sign is that you have that bigger credit card bill because of all of these extra purchases.
And when we kind of look at the broader picture, what is, really the underlying cause of this? And for folks who might look at themselves and go, oh, this is an issue. How do you walk it back? How do you get yourself out of a doom spending mindset?
Well, it's all about finding a balance, because I'm definitely not trying to shame anyone for, the occasional late night purchase. There's nothing wrong with that, or buying the things that we need. But basically, when it goes too far or it's in excess is when we want to reel it back in. So the first step here can just be to reflect and to think, am I falling into this category? Am I buying things that I really didn't need or even want? And so if you notice that maybe you are falling into that category, then we can start to think of ways to reel that back in. Some people decide to turn off their social media apps or shopping apps after a certain time of day, or even give yourself rules. I gave myself a rule that I don't actually purchase anything after 8 p.m. I can put it in my cart, but I don't buy it until I wait and see if I actually want it the next day. And so there are little techniques we can use to get back a bit of control.
So shopping is my number one hobby, and I love to lay in bed at night before I go to bed and just be on Amazon, scrolling away and hitting checkout, deliver tomorrow. But for people that are, maybe experiencing this, maybe this is for me, how important is it setting a financial budget for yourself?
It's so important. Setting a budget is really step number one when it comes to taking control over our finances. And you don't have to necessarily track every single dollar if you don't want to. Some people prefer a more kind of big picture approach. At NerdWallet, we like to talk about the 50-30-20 budget, where basically, you want about 50% of your take-home pay going to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to savings and any debt payments beyond the minimums. So just thinking about it in that way can help us get started. And we can think about, okay, how much do we have left over for some of these purchases that are extra?
All right. Kimberly Palmer from NerdWallet, thanks so much for joining us, talking about the trend of doom spending.
I know.
And I feel like everybody's kind of fallen into that at least once.
You're a guilty victim too.
Yeah. I decided late night decided I wanted to replace my dishes. So coming up next, we are talking with the largest farmers market in Central Ohio, the Worthington Farmers Market. So that's next. Welcome back to The Big Picture. I'm Collin. She's Bryn.
I'm Bryn. Joining us right now, Chelsea Case, Worthington Farmer Market Manager. You have a hard job.
It's a wonderful job.
Talk to us about how many people were there last week. It's finally moved from the Worthington Mall out back to the streets.
Yes, so we moved back outdoors at the beginning of May, and we had a really rough start just with how bad the weather was. But this past weekend, it was beautiful weather. We couldn't have asked for just better temperatures, and we had over 11,000 people come to downtown Worthington. It was amazing.
And that farmer's market is one of my favorites. I love it. It's a great way to spend a Saturday morning, and evidently a lot of other people think so too. Best farmer's market 2024, right?
Yes, for USA Today.
Yeah, and I mean, it's thousands of people come through there. Talk to a little bit about the background of, the history of this and what it takes to put this on.
Sure. So almost 40 years old, the Worthington Farmers Market started in 1987. So we'll be having our 40th anniversary next year. But it started very, very small, just 8 vendors. It was a way to revitalize that old historic Worthington district, which is so beautiful and charming. That's one of the reasons it's so successful. It looks straight out of a Lifetime movie, especially during the wintertime or even during the summer. It's just beautiful, and there's so many cool restaurants. And over the past 40 years, we've grown from 8 vendors. We now have, at any given time at the market, 110, and we have upwards of 120 that cycle through.
I always say it feels very Gilmore Girls-esque.
Yes.
I'm surprised a Hallmark movie has not been shot down there yet. It's a matter of time.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree.
So is there anything new coming up at the market this year that we're doing a little differently?
Yeah, so, what's really exciting are the holidays. So the farmers market falls on July 4th.
Yay.
So we'll be open for July 4th. So if anybody wants to come and get stuff for their cookout, or if they've got family in town and they want to come visit, we will be there. It'll be a great time. We also will be open on actual Halloween, October 31st, which will be great. And that'll be really exciting and fun. So make sure to bring kids in costumes. Outside of that, we have a ton of other stuff going on. Every Saturday, we try to make sure we have something to offer folks that are coming through, whether that be kids crafts with our market sprouts. We also have our Makers Market that's not ran by the Farmers Market, but it runs parallel to us on 161 with crafts. So maybe you'd like to pick up a new basket to go shopping at the Farmers Market. We have that going on as well. Just within downtown Worthington, too, we're ran by the Worthington Partnership, and we have a ton of stuff going on. Sunday Fun Days. We have Pride coming up this Sunday. We do Third Thursdays every third Thursday night of the month. So lots of fun stuff.
So it takes a lot of volunteers to put this effort on. And April was just Volunteer Awareness Month.
Yes.
Talk to us about the very special volunteer that you honored this past April. And then, give us the details about how many people it actually takes to do this every week.
Yeah, so we actually decided to have an award for one of our fantastic volunteers. She's been volunteering at the market for so long, Jan. She's incredible woman, and this is something that is so integral to not just our farmers market, but farmers markets all across America. Typically, we run on a very small staff. I am the only full-time person with the farmers market. The entire team itself is only 4 people for the umbrella nonprofit. We have anywhere between 12 to 15 volunteers at any given time with the market. Some of them have been with the market for over 13 years. Wow. And they dedicate every Saturday to coming and spending time with their community and ensuring that the market is the best that it can be.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you do it throughout the entire year.
Yes.
That's so unique. I used to work at the Worthington Mall back in the day, and I remember Saturdays when everyone would come and set up, and it was like the best thing to get off work and go walk around inside the Worthington Mall. But when it comes to this summer in America 250, I know you guys are going to be open on 4th of July, but is there anything else special that you guys are going to do for that?
So if you actually walk through downtown Worthington, part of our, the Worthington Farmers Market falls under the umbrella of the Worthington Partnership. And part of that is our tourism leg, which is Experience Worthington. If you walk through downtown Worthington, there are beautiful just paintings that are actually posted up on all of the walls that you can walk through, and it's a historic walkthrough. So it's actually something that you can do anytime, but some people like to do the art walk during the farmers market. We also have something called back in the Village Green, where we have the farmers market, used to be an area where sheep would graze, and historic Worthington back when we first became a city. I live in Worthington myself. And so we have little sheep that delegate each business or something of importance within Worthington, the farmers market has one, and you can see them grazing at different parks for America 250 as well.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
All right, so the Worthington Farmers Market, Saturdays 8 to noon.
Yes.
And then we've also got the Thursday night markets as well.
Yes, you got it. So every single Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon. The only one that we will not be attending is October 3rd because that is Old Worthington Market Day. That goes all day long and is put on by the Worthington Chamber. Still amazing. Still should absolutely come out and check it out.
Awesome.
Right.
Chelsea Case
so
with the
much.
Worthington Farmers Market. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, we know Columbus is a foodie city. If you love food, you can find just about anything you want here. Well, coming up, we are talking globally inspired food, the passport to flavor. So that's next. Back to the Big Picture, 9:35 on your Wednesday. Right now, we are joined by the founder of Passport to Flavor. And as we kind of alluded to, Columbus is a huge foodie city. Anything that you want, you can find in this city. Talk to me a little about the idea behind Passport to Flavor.
Yeah, the idea behind Passport to Flavor was to do just that. We have such a rich culture when it comes to food in Columbus, and the community is full of so many different restaurants from so many different parts of the world. There are people that are enthusiastic about celebrating their stories, and Passport to Flavor is a platform for them to do just that. We are excited about bringing vendors not only from different global cultures, but also different parts of American cuisine and different takes on egg rolls, for example, and ice cream. And so it's going to be a really fun night.
And when does this all kick off?
This is happening tomorrow, so Thursday in Hilliard at the Mill Run Event Center. We start at 6 p.m.
Okay, so go ahead.
So some of my favorite memories in my life is always tied back to food or having special dinners. I mean, birthday cake, big thing like that. Well, was that your inspiration behind starting all of this?
Exactly. And a little bit more went into that story. So I'm from India. I grew up there. And one way for me to remember my childhood and have that nostalgia is through the food that I ate growing up. And there are so many people here that want to do that. They want that tie back to their culture or where they grew up. And that was really the inspiration behind Passport to Flavor.
And so when it comes to getting all of these folks together to do this, what does the behind the scenes look like? How did you get in contact with all of these people who are going to take part in this?
The behind the scenes is kind of crazy, as you might imagine, but we're lucky and privileged in the fact that Our nonprofit platform also does a show called Passport to Fashion. This is going to be our 9th year. And so we already have some recognition in the community. We're known for bringing different cultures under one roof. And so that did a lot of work for us. So when we approached these vendors, some of them had already heard of Passport to Fashion, and it was an easy way to explain to them, hey, we've been doing this with fashion for all these years. Now we're bringing that to food. Social media works great. Word of mouth works great. And getting the vendors interested and getting them to want to share their stories and to share their food, that part is really what's exciting.
And it's a huge number of people. We're talking
Yes.
upwards of 300.
Yes, that is what we had at our last event, and we're hoping for a great turnout too this Thursday. It's just, when you see people interacting with the vendors and you see the excitement on both sides, like that's really galvanizing and that keeps us going.
I feel like Columbus's food scene is pretty diverse. So how challenging was that, finding the vendors and getting them involved with this?
We were trying to make sure we had representation from different parts of the world to make it a balanced offering for our guests. It is always a slow start to, when we start socializing the first flyers or start getting the word out for the first time. It's always a little nerve-wracking because you're like, okay, is somebody going to sign up? Are we going to have enough? And then, once it was like the floodgates opened, we had a vendor reach out to us yesterday, and she said, oh, I just saw your ad on social media. I want to do this. And we're like, please, next year, because we're at capacity now. So it's hard in the beginning, but then we have some great volunteers that are out in the community passing out flyers and things like that and talking to the vendors.
Awesome. So people have to buy tickets, correct?
Yes.
How much do those cost, and can they still buy them?
I'm glad you asked that question because we are running a buy one, get one sale through the end of the day today. And so that brings, you can get 2 tickets for $10. And that sale ends this evening, and so I really encourage people to go take advantage of that. Our website is passport2flavor.org. Normally tickets are $15, but the buy one get one gets you 2 tickets for $10. And then if you follow our social media, I'll give you a little secret code that's on our social media as well. And so if you take advantage of that, the ticket price for one person falls to $5. So this limited time, these sales are running through this evening.
All right.
Okay.
Aditi, thanks so much
Thank
for
you
coming
so
in and joining
much.
us. So that is, once again, kicks off tomorrow night in Hilliard.
6:30.
6:30.
Right?
6:30.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Okay, coming up, if you are watching the Memorial Tournament from your couch, we got you covered.
Great way to celebrate at home.
Yes. So coming up, we have Better Bev joining us to show us some at-home cocktails that you can make if you're not going to the Memorial Tournament. back to The Big Picture. I'm Bryn, this is Collin, and this is Mary LaBlanc joining us. You are the owner of Better Beverage.
I am.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me again. I
Absolutely.
love it.
When we were when I had this whole idea, I was thinking, I'm not going to the Muirfield tournament. I'm going to be at home. I'm probably going to be at my parents' house watching it on their couch. And I think a lot of other people are feeling that way as well. So also, a lot of people are not drinking anymore. They want to learn how to make mocktails. And it's really easy, and you can just do it from your kitchen.
It is.
Yeah.
It is easy. And you can actually make them taste good, and even some have benefits to them.
Yes.
Which is extra good.
Okay.
And so when you reached out and you asked me, maybe to do something, golf related, like a transfusion, which transfusions are delicious, not going to lie. But I had never actually made a non-alcoholic transfusion. So
good. So I challenged you a little bit. All right. Well, what are the 2 cocktails you brought us then?
So yeah, I have what I call the Transfusion 0.0, and I reached out to Simple Times, which is also a local beverage company, and they had a transfusion mix. And it's a really nice, light, bright mix. It's not too sweet. And I took that and I mixed it with a spirit I carry, which is amethyst, and it's a blueberry ginger mint spirit. So instead of vodka, we have that. And then I mix it with ginger beer and lime juice, frozen grapes, and lime. And it is delicious.
It's
and
delicious.
This is all alcohol free.
All alcohol free. But the nice thing about amethyst is it carries a bit of a punch similar to vodka. So you can sip it slowly and just enjoy it like you would a cocktail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you want to try it, Collin?
I do.
Okay,
actually.
let's take it. Let's take a taste. I know I didn't realize until I started golfing how popular transfusions are. They're kind of like the drink of the golf course.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good. They're
are.
refreshing.
Now, this is going to have like a little bit more of a ginger and a mint taste
I like
to
the
it.
ginger taste. It's very good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And it really itches that scratch when like you want a cocktail, but you don't want to be hungover or something,
And it is, it's been a growing industry, especially for these alcohol alternatives. You see more of them in the grocery store of, something that is gin adjacent, but not gin.
Yes. I love that gin adjacent.
Gin adjacent.
I love that. Yeah, and so I try to carry not just replacements, like a gin replacement. I try to carry things that are going to like give you a little something and give you maybe a conversation starter on top of it. Like the Pathfinder I used in the second cocktail. The Pathfinder has a cult following. It is just really unique, bitter, rich, deep spirit, unlike anything else. And so I kind of used it in the way you would use a bourbon in an Arnie Palmer type cocktail here.
Love that.
And I call it the Cart Pathfinder.
The Cart Pathfinder. That's cute.
And as we were talking before we came on, we were mentioning especially it's the younger generation that isn't drinking as much, and you were mentioning that you're trying to find a way to bridge that gap of the adults who still drink and then those who don't but want to find that middle ground.
Right. Because a lot of times I come at markets I'm at, there's a group of people, half of them drink, half of them don't, yet they're all out together. So what I'd like to see is more spaces that bring those two groups together because, we do want to socialize. We do want to be out and about with those that we love, and we don't want to leave anybody out.
Yep.
So. And do you know Tom Holland, the actor? He doesn't drink anymore, and he always talks about how he would feel uncomfortable in social settings just always ordering a lemonade. Yeah. So he just wants more options available for people so they don't feel uncomfortable with their friends and they can still hang.
Yeah, and actually get their friends that drink to like, hey, try this, and maybe alternate a little bit so the night can last a little longer.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for making these.
Thank
they
you.
look great. I'm going to post the how to make them on our website.
Oh, perfect.
So,
yep. I have the recipes all ready to go.
Awesome. Cool. And where can people find you when you set up next?
You can follow me on Instagram, which is Better Bev Shop. Or my website, which is betterbevshop.com. And this weekend, I'll be at Studio 18 at their art market, and next weekend also. But I bounce around to all the,
all the
Loves the art
markets and
market.
everything. Okay, and in the winter, you're at the North Market.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on.
All right, thanks so
This is great.
much.
Here's another look at those beverages. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
9:51 on your Wednesday. Right now
we
we
got our
are
beverages.
Just continuing.
That was fun.
right.
Just
Continue the
continue
fun.
it. Why
They're
waste it?
non-alcoholic
Yes, they
for
are.
anybody tuning in.
Yes.
But
we're going to get back to some newsy topics.
So
talk about construction and traffic.
And Columbus made a top 50 list that I don't think anybody wants to be on.
I don't think anyone is shocked
It's
that
not
they made this
shocking.
list, for the record. Yes, but they are among the top 50 major metros in the United States for traffic congestion. Our exact ranking is 39.
Okay.
Which, not the worst,
be better, but
could
not
be better.
terrible.
Yeah,
It
we
put
could
us,
be one.
Like close, so it was actually really, they put us close to Cincinnati, but also a couple that stuck out to me: Salt Lake City, Milwaukee. So just if you're driving to any of those cities, expect to drive like you're driving in Columbus, basically.
Did it break down at all, like the time of day when the traffic's the worst?
It was more so breaking down like basically how it has to do with timing. So how long you sit in traffic for.
Okay.
So do you care to take a guess? The weekday average?
Oh my gosh. I want to say something like 40 minutes.
I'm gonna guess every bit of an
It's
hour.
over 2 hours.
Wow.
It's over 2 hours.
Wow, I believe
it was
it, though.
it was between like 2.5. And a lot of that has to do, with the amount of construction we have going on, obviously. We have
so much.
I mean, pretty much everywhere you drive, at some point you're running into a major interchange or stretch of an interstate that is under construction or has it's tight. It's got some orange barrels through it. And so that obviously creates congestion. But the reason that they're doing many of these projects is because they need more lanes.
Right. And no one knows how to merge
If
onto highways here.
And if we
Central
don't do
Ohio.
it now, it's going to be worse.
Right.
10 years down
that's
the road.
why we're rebuilding all of downtown, basically. I mean, the 70-71 split. That we still have some time left on.
We do. And there is actually some good news locally about that specifically. So if you remember back in the wintertime, back in December, I believe it was, that 71 southbound flyover ramp opened up. So when you're coming on I-71 southbound, you used to have to merge onto 70 and then get back onto 71. Now you kind of just fly over. There's one lane open of it right now, which has helped. There's going to be two come this summer. So they are going to open that up a little bit more.
Have you guys taken a spin on that one yet?
I have.
I haven't. What's
not.
it like?
It is, when they say fly over,
It's a flyover.
It takes it literally. You are going up and you are going down, but I mean, you don't quite realize it until you're like, oh, that's different. Right. Yes. And I was actually talking to Tracy about this. Her husband, back when we were, reminding people it was going to open, they were driving that following weekend or two. And she was like, you need to get over to the right. And he was like, no, I don't. And she goes, yes, you do. Like there's a new ramp. And he goes, well, what do you know? And got over it. So there you go. And that's
and it's one of those.
Yeah,
it's
it sneaks up on you.
we're seeing progress. We're seeing progress.
And it's like it's always so strange to me because it's like we work here, we know these things are opening up.
Right.
It's just you don't realize it until you hit it. For example, it was because I never come from the east side of the city to hit that flyover.
Exactly.
I'm always coming from the west.
Me too.
And I remember when they changed how you get to 71 south from coming 70 east.
Yes. From 70.
And it's now farther up than it used to be.
Yeah, so
and I was like, wait,
you kind of got to
this
really
isn't where I'm
kick
going.
it to the, I got to get over 3 lanes all of a sudden.
And
Right.
I do feel like there's a lot of people that commute long periods of time to go to work here. Like so many people live in Columbus, but they work in Dayton or they work in Cincinnati.
Or even just
vice
like,
versa.
if you live in Newark and you're going downtown, and that stretch of 161 can be can get packed at times in the morning. So
And you talk to some folks out there about their thoughts on the congestion.
a lot of them, I will say the people we spoke with, they were pretty understanding. They're like, we know it's bad, but it's bad because they're trying to make it better. It just obviously can get annoying that you're driving through orange barrels every couple miles, but you got to do what you got to do. I know that back there was a consideration years ago, and when 90s time, that Bethel Road would have crossed over 315, and it didn't end up happening. And the way I wish that happened, so
that's a fun fact.
Think about that.
Yeah.
When you're driving through these construction zones and you're like, oh, if we make action now, we won't regret this.
We won't regret
10
it
years
later.
down the road.
Right.
Okay.
Because I guess it's
Only
Henderson crosses, but
Henderson,
Bethel does not.
Hethel,
And
you
it's
got to
a
go to
pain.
161 or you got to go to
And
Henderson.
it's a pain. So, okay, Amy, thank you so much.
Yes.
Fun facts. All right, we'll be right back. big picture. We're wrapping today's show. We only got 2 minutes, Colin.
Wow.
Well, let's get into it. The Gerber baby for 2026 was just announced. This Gerber baby is from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yes, Minnesota with his mom and dad. He's cute. I'm trying to find his name in my notes.
His name is Cameron.
Cameron. Okay.
He was a colicky newborn, which, makes, especially for parents who have had colicky children, they know it's a tough few months to get over that. But, once he got through that.
Cutie pie.
Yep.
I didn't know they still did that.
Yeah.
But now I know.
It's a contest every year.
Yeah, every year. But
yeah.
I feel like that was such like a thing in the 90s but apparently we're still doing it
Still
today.
doing it.
Okay. Well, this next story is really funny. This is out of Pennsylvania, and I almost called you Jason after my husband. It's just natural. Colin. It's about a chicken that was attempting to cross the road, and then police tried to help it out. But then this chicken became part of the squad a little bit. This is McQuail. Officers in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania were called to a scene when the chicken wandering in the middle of the road couldn't decide whether to cross.
And this isn't AI.
This is not AI. This is real. So as you can see, they had a lot of fun with this bird, making her an honorary officer that works, in quotations, at the dispatch center. And they named her Lieutenant McQuail.
I love it.
Yes, and this was after she evaded police and required a short foot pursuit to capture her, okay? And they referred to it as a case of foul play. Ba-dum, okay.
I love it.
Too funny.
Huh. Okay. So
Okay, but is that AI with the little outfit
it has
on?
to be. That
I
looks
think
fake.
So. It was cute. I was like, dang, they got a quail officer outfit in their closet. That's crazy. No, it's probably AI.
So that answers the age-old question of why did the chicken cross the road. All right, that's all the time we've got. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.